You want to see your wife more than anything.
Jimmy, you are always down.
It's time to break down another Better Call Saul episode in order. Vince directed this one, although that wasn't the original plan. We'll get into it along with 58 details you may not know in Season 4, Episode 9, Wiedersehen.
Oh, it's Wiedersehen.
Wiedersehen.
Vollkommen richtig.
When this aired, it was the third longest Breaking Bad universe episode, although the next episode is about to surpass it by 5 minutes. Uh-oh, what happened to Kim? Based on the sign, it looks like she's trying to make Kevin happy after all.
What if we made the Lubbock branch the same as Tucumcari?
This is really the Albuquerque publishing building, and the sign was digitally added. And once again, we've got a backwards A.
Chicanery?
The next shot shows the kind of A's I expect. They filmed this in the same complex in Albuquerque Tribune offices.
Excuse me, what can I do for you? My firm submitted plans for Mesa Verde Bank. We had some late changes.
What if we made the Lubbock branch the same as North Platte, Nebraska? What if we made the Lubbock branch
Glass.
What if we made the Lubbock branch a cowboy? I'm excited about that.
Things got really complicated, sorry. Long story short, I think it's possible the wrong version ended up in our proposal.
Oh dear.
I have the correct plans here.
If they're wrong, you know you have to
Refile.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure they actually are the wrong ones before I get into it with my bosses.
Do you have the address?
6350.
8783 Baylor Street.
There is such a street in Lubbock, but it's a residential area. All the plans are rolled printed side in, but printed side out is the standard. I'll give Kim a pass, but Shirley should know.
Okay.
It's subtle, but you can see evidence of the camera or camera person in the reflection.
Dates match. That's a good start.
Shirley's watch appears to be an hour behind the wall clock.
Room dimensions should be 15'6" by 12'6".
It's pretty big.
15'6" by 12'6". Break or sprain?
Huh?
Your foot.
Oh, a sprain. It hasn't been that bad, except I have an 8-month-old.
Okay, assuming we didn't jump years into the future, we're witnessing Slip and Kimmy.
My brother's been helping since I'm a little limited these days. I think these are the same.
It's odd that the building only uses their secondary logo when all the models use the
Cowboy.
They look the same to me.
Yes, thank you, Shirley.
Marceline Hugo, who plays Shirley Hartland, has been in lots of things, including the one TV show written by
Rupert Holmes.
You saved my life.
I wonder how they timed this. Could he have been listening with a phone?
Yo, Lizzie.
Bill, where's Aiden?
Oh, hey, lady.
The Jimmy Buffett shirt was Vince's idea, and he texted Jimmy Buffett directly to get permission to use it.
He's fine. He's in the Wrangler.
You can't leave a baby in a car. What the hell is wrong with you?
Man.
Go get the baby,
What did I
Bill.
do?
Help
Well, it's
her.
only been a minute.
Despite their mostly blue attire, there are splashes of criminal red.
What am I supposed to do?
Spillage.
To make the milk do this, they tilted the entire counter.
Slow down. I'm wearing flip-flops.
What happened?
Your milk.
Oh my God. No, Shirley, I can't.
Kim and Jimmy are both great actors.
Shirley, I can't. Shirley,
It's probably a little odd that nobody behind the glass came out to see what all the commotion is about.
This is what we're gonna do.
Here's what's going to happen.
You're gonna give me your copy, and I'll trade them out.
Won't you get in trouble?
They're exactly the same. No one has to know.
I can't tell you how much this means to me.
We need to stick together. Being a mom is hard enough.
Did they know ahead of time that the mark would be a mom?
Let's make this official.
It's funny how many schemes involve a swap. Those numbers, a tracker, pills, Irene's shoes, bingo balls, Hummels, and now bank plans. In real life, the city requires multiple copies of plans to be submitted, so this wouldn't work. In fact, it looks like Lubbock currently requires 20 copies. One original idea for the scam involved no crutches. Instead, Jimmy would be a sleazy guy who hits on her, she'd elbow him, and he'd bleed onto the plans.
What happened?
Blood!
We know this place. Casa Tranquila, Hector's home in Breaking Bad, also where Jimmy drummed up some business. It turns out he was here both before and after he moved in with Tuco. And I guess Gus was the one who chose this place for him given the lack of involvement from the Salamanca family. In real life, this room got new AC ducts and panels since the last time we were here. So in universe, this means this stuff was added after season 1, but then removed again before we get to the Breaking Bad time frame.
Soy Lalo. ¿A poco no me reconoce?
Remember, Tio, it's your nephew Lalo, who you totally have a long history with.
¿Quién tiene los huevos más grandes de todo Michoacán, norte, sur, este y oeste?
Huevotes.
Sabía que seguía ahí adentro. ¿Saben qué estaba pensando esta mañana? Hotel Tulipán. Fue tan amable con ese güey. Y él le dio la espalda. Ese pendejo estaba tan orgulloso. Pero igual cuando todo se perdió. ¿Llamas? Olía a mierda. Hay algo que nunca le había dicho, tío. Regresé ese día. Quería un recuerdo.
This underscores why Nacho had to take action.
Y lo he tenido todos estos años.
I can't be.
Yes, after much deliberation, I think this counts. After all, Zafiro, Mr. Snuggles, and Venezia's Pizza counted. Part of the reason for concocting this story is that they realized Hector's Bell is not the type that would have come from a medical professional. Although, they recast this character because the top is not at all the same as in Breaking Bad.
¿Se acuerda ese tipo? Como cada rato le estaba hablando a su chalán. Ding, ding, ding. Dele, un aprobado, ándale.
The sound is unmistakable, although that's not what it sounds like in real life.
Ding.
No, let's try that again.
Lalo actually got this bell for Hector.
Ese es un Salamanca. Hey, why don't you go get some...
Alpine Shepherd Boy. Wow, those Jello lawyers are relentless.
Tío, hablemos del chileno. Same old Hector. Just wants to kill everybody.
If I were Nacho, I'd interpret that as a threat. Poor Hector's not getting the care he needs. He should have used Z-O-C-D-O-C. Honey, ZocDoc ain't a word, but it is this video's sponsor. ZocDoc is a free website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. From primary care to dentistry, eye care, skin care, and nearly everything in between. ZocDoc makes it easy to book in-network appointments with more than 150,000 healthcare providers. You can filter for doctors by insurance, location, and specialties so you can choose the best, most convenient care for you. They also have verified patient reviews and detailed doctor profiles so you can get a clear sense of the provider before you step into the office. Choose a time that works for you and you can instantly book the visit online. Appointments on ZocDoc usually happen fast, often within 24 to 72 hours and sometimes even same day depending on availability. Visit ZocDoc.com/BetterWatchTV to find and instantly book an appointment with a provider who will listen, understand, and support you. That's ZocDoc.com/BetterWatchTV. Thanks again to ZocDoc for supporting this channel.
Still got at least an hour on the road.
In real life, this is Penny's Diner in Berlin, Kyra Hayes Town, only about a half hour away and not really on the path back from Lubbock.
What time's your hearing?
11. This time next week, I will once again be James McGill, Esquire. And I already got a jump on my new practice. Unexpected bonus of the drop phone business. Sooner or later, every last one of those idiots is going to need an attorney. Of course, they all know me as Saul Goodman.
What's with details?
It's a pretty big detail, and it sets the stage for the future.
People would pay top dollar for us to undo a potentially life-ruining sentence. Our powers combine.
I think we should only use our powers for good.
What are we considering good?
It's like Potter Stewart said. We'll know it when we see it.
Colorful Kim is quoting a Supreme Court justice who evaluated whether this movie was obscene in 1964.
In a way, I regret I know it when I see it, because I think that's going to be on my tombstone.
No, it says a good lawyer who did his best.
We just drove 300 miles to scam Lubbock, Texas, so that your client can have a 13% bigger bank branch. How is that using our powers for good?
Excellent point. Ray said that Kim struggles with whether legal versus illegal is the same thing as good versus bad and moral versus immoral.
Okay, fine. We'll know when we see it. I like it.
Kai and Werner are doing Mike's eye thing, although I only count Mike's.
Okay.
This essentially means goodbye in German, and the whole thing was Vince's idea. He viewed the spray-painted yellow word as a callback to the spray-painted Heisenberg, and he picked out the specific yellow paint. This is the final episode written by Jennifer Hutchison, who left after this season to join the Rings of Power. The original plan was for Tom Schnauz to direct this episode and Vince to direct the season finale, but due to complications from colon cancer surgery, he couldn't do it. Instead, they brought prolific director Adam Bernstein in for the finale, and Tom directed only the end-of-season pickup shots.
I'm in position.
We're almost ready here. Stand by.
Uh-oh. What's up?
Red light.
There's no, how do you say, continuity.
That sort of, continuity.
There may be a loose or faulty wire. The orange one. I'll go in and check.
I thought you were the demolition expert.
It's my job, Michael.
Come on, Werner, you don't want Bryan Cranston to make fun of you. That hole should be sealed so a lot of the explosive energy isn't wasted. As you might suspect, this is a prop rock made out of styrofoam.
I think we're ready here, Michael.
All green. Go.
Ray Campbell, who plays Tyrus, isn't licensed to drive a semi, so they did a simple trick here. He's sitting in the passenger seat with a fake steering wheel, and they flipped the image. The real driver's over here. They did have to digitally flip the Peterbilt logo, but fortunately didn't have to worry about the 88. Mike knows the feeling.
5, 4, 3, 2,
one.
Again, we get the billboard that was digitally altered to show a fictitious travel wire company, which we'll talk about more next time. It looks like the project can enter the final phase. The end is in sight, and all that worry about Kai and Werner is behind us. Because of the spillage on the clear floor, I'm counting this as a magically clear surface.
We're missing one.
No, I'm good, thank you. Mike. Guten Abend.
They're appropriately listening to a German song from 2004, although it's still a slight anachronism as it wasn't released until October. And this is a period-appropriate shirt, as the 3 stars represent 3 World Cup wins Germany had at the time, which changed to 4 stars by the time of filming. Although the style of Kai's jacket apparently is from the 2014 World Cup. Vince made a point to get new angles of the warehouse we haven't seen before, and this is noticeable throughout the episode.
I need to know what's going on.
This work is taking longer than I estimated.
It is?
You were married?
22 years.
Oh, this is the first time we've heard about Mrs. Ehrmantraut.
26 in April. Without her, I am
Adrift.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder
What?
Kai could supervise work until I get back.
You're talking about flying to Germany for a weekend. What?
Just a quick trip. I could leave detailed instructions.
You want to see your wife?
More than anything.
Then finish the job. From the money you've made here, you'll never be away from your wife again. I tell you what, we'll get you on the phone with her for an extra call.
Thank you, my friend.
You hang in there.
Mike is the king of motivational quotes. Trina? Given her involvement in props, I'm going to say this is Trina Siopi, and we can add assistant manager to her long list of roles. And one of the cashiers is Matt, so I'm going to count that as Matt Feet. It has been a long time, so I'll remind you that he's the photographer, deputy, student, preppy shopper, roofing hammer attack victim, homicide suspect, one of the best laser pointer holders west of the Mississippi, dumpster diver, and HHM senior partner. And Cynthia counts as a Breaking Bad character since I also counted Judge Papadumian. We saw Diana and Miguel in season 3. And Mike's now going to work the grill?
Gus Fring decided to put a guy like you in charge of his grill.
And then there's Lyle.
Mr. Fring?
Oh, yes, Lyle?
Man who just came in. I think it's one of the guys that, made all the trouble last year. Not the main guy.
I need to see you a boss.
I thought that you want to know.
If you are looking for the most nitpicky detail ever to be reported, here it is. Gus's clock advances 17 seconds when it has actually only been 15. A Salamanca patiently waiting for Gus to come to their table. It's a tale as old as time. Remember that Giancarlo can't put weight on his broken foot, so he's probably kneeling on a stool for this maneuver. But now here they switch to a body double. He nailed the walk. The biggest issue is simply his hair.
Is everything to your liking?
Are you kidding me? This is the best chicken I have ever had.
And then in all the shots with his face, he's stationary with no view of his feet.
The seasoning is so flavorful.
One taste, and you will know.
Is it possible for me to meet the owner?
I am the owner.
Really? Would you be interested in franchising?
Perhaps we should go to my office where we can discuss it further.
Don't waste that.
Senor
Salamanca. Eduardo Salamanca, but you can call me Lalo. And you're Gustavo Fring. You have how many of these restaurants?
7.
7.
That sounds a bit sarcastic, like
24. 24.
Although we know eventually it'll be 14.
We have 14 locations.
There's this funny symbol on Gus's shelf, but we can see across the room that it's simply a box of medium gloves.
I come here on behalf of my entire family to give you our deepest thanks.
For what?
For saving Don Hector's life. I just visited him. I wanted to weep. But it could have been worse.
It also could have been better.
He may eventually learn how to talk and even walk again.
Varga tells me you rushed to him, struck him on the chest, and brought him back.
It was simple instinct.
With all the history between you two, what you did was a gesture of peace. ¿Alguna vez te has puesto a pensar que ese Don Eladio es un cabrón? Que tal vez le gusta esta mala leche entre nosotros?
Is he testing his Spanish?
No considero que haya mala leche.
He's surely testing him in general, as it is very suspicious that Gus would save Hector's life after what he did to Max. And given how reliant the Salamancas have become on him, he needs to make sure he can be trusted.
If we were to get along too well, Eladio wouldn't like that, would he?
I am satisfied with the current arrangement.
I'm just shitting you. You would be crazy to go up against Eladio.
Gus might just be that crazy.
If you need a favor, I'm your man.
Same. Naturally.
And I'll be back for that chicken, eh? It's too tasty to stay away from.
Lalo raving about Gus's chicken reminds me of this.
I love this product. That's a big bite.
Gus realizes that Lalo is quite different from the other Salamancas and might be a formidable foe. This is our first glimpse of Lalo's blue suede shoes.
So you pick up 6 keys a week?
Yeah.
Where?
He's got a chicken farm way out of town.
Show me. Okay, counter. Let's count this. Throwing the cup was not scripted, it was Tony's idea. This is Tony Dalton's second English language production, although he was in this movie that starred the actor who played Tuco in the Colombian remake of Breaking Bad. It looks like he's ready for his hearing and wearing an impressive Davison Maine gray suit. This was filmed in the City Hall complex, and right down the hall is the mayor's office.
Mr. McGill, we're ready for you now.
Bob lost his voice on this day, so they had to delay filming the part of the scene inside the room. But since he doesn't say much in the hallway, they went ahead and filmed it, then added his voice in later.
Great. You've completed the pre-prosecution diversion program?
That's right. If you look at the supplemental materials, there's a letter from my supervisor, Brad Markham.
He says he was impressed with your commitment.
The committee really has the relevant papers, revealed by a close-up look at one of the props. There's the transcript of the chicanery hearing with cut dialogue from the moment before
Bang, bang, bang.
Jimmy's modified confession,
JMM.
and more.
For most of last year, you've been employed at CC Mobile?
There's a letter from my manager, Mr. Robert Finn.
Says here you were part of something called the Silver Circle.
It does not say that, but it reveals that Jimmy's magic touch was responsible for a 48% increase in sales.
It's a sales award. You don't have to sell many phones to get in the silver, believe me. But I would say it's given me a new outlook on client relations.
His mouth didn't move.
And
his hand swap on this camera angle changed.
I know he swapped those hands.
As the saying goes, the law is
Too important.
constantly changing. Have you been keeping yourself apprised of the latest developments?
You know what caught my eye recently was Crawford v. Washington.
That was a Supreme Court case, wasn't it?
That's right. The only indicium of reliability sufficient to satisfy constitutional demands is the one the Constitution actually prescribes confrontation. It's classic Scalia. I'm sorry, I get rolling on constitutional questions. Short answer, I've been doing my level best.
Jimmy's right, and this was a major criminal procedure decision, although the case was decided in March and we're still in February.
Is there anything you'd like to tell us about the reasons you were suspended in the first place?
I'm humbled by the sheer stupidity of my actions. Remorse doesn't begin to cover it.
Remorse is important.
Nothing like that will ever happen again.
Nothing like this will happen again.
I guess it depends on your definition of like. Werner will indeed never draw diagrams at Louis again, and Jimmy's never gonna break into Chuck's house again.
All right, that would seem to be satisfactory. Meg?
Why did this happen? I mean, if there's a God and all.
Can we just keep it secular, Meg?
What does the law mean to you?
The law?
The law is sacred.
Chuck would have had an answer ready to go.
Yeah.
And the truth of it was a way to impress Chuck and Kim wouldn't cut it.
Growing up, becoming a lawyer was the last thing on my mind. I happened to get a job with some attorneys, and I couldn't help but think maybe I could do that. My diploma says the University of American Samoa Law School. I wish it said Georgetown.
You went on to graduate magna cum laude at Georgetown Law.
Or Northwestern. UAS is the only one that would take me. Our legal system is complicated, and sometimes it could feel capricious, but it's the closest thing to real justice that we've got. Helping my clients, that's the best thing I've ever done. I've missed the hell out of it.
That was very eloquent.
The creator said that Meg is so on Jimmy's side and wants him to say the right thing, but it doesn't happen, so she'll be more direct.
Was there any particular influence on your views?
Credit where credit is due. The University of American Samoa. Go land crabs.
I think we have everything we need.
All right. Thanks for your time.
This part again uses ADR to put in Bob's voice.
Hey, hi.
Hi.
She's almost as surprised as Shirley.
Just between you and me, what did they decide? No. He
made the classic Breaking Bad mistake of not monitoring the back door.
Oh, you're denying me? What did I do wrong?
Mr. McGill, this is not the place.
But it is this place.
Excuse me. It was a question of sincerity.
What?
Some members of the committee found you somewhat insincere. You're free to apply again next year.
This guy warps ahead 3 steps, including the larger landing. Jennifer, the writer, thinks that Jimmy thinks he's being sincere, but he's also not being honest with himself all season as a form of self-protection. I don't think it would be fair for the committee to expect Jimmy to mourn Chuck or forgive Chuck, as they don't know the details of their relationship, including that final toxic interaction.
You've never mattered all that much to me.
However, not even acknowledging Chuck's existence, that he was following in his footsteps, or that he was responsible for getting him a job at HHM, understandably would make one question if he's being sincere. It's odd how visible the headphone brand is here, because it's not Sony, and the brand didn't exist until 2016.
How goes it with the dirty half dozen?
It's spreading, now Mike's being colorful.
Playing volleyball. That guy Kai cheats.
I'm not sure what that even means, but for all the hints that Kai was going to put the entire operation at risk, he has been fairly easy to control.
Werner still talking?
They've been saying goodbye for about 20 minutes now. Her back's acting up, so they want to go to the Springs at Baden-Baden once he gets back.
Baden-Baden in Germany is one of Europe's most glamorous spa destinations.
They've been at it almost an hour and a half. You want me to give a 10-minute warning?
No. Let him go on as long as he wants.
They're wrapping up.
The music helps tell us that the bonus phone call did not solve Werner's homesickness.
We feel it's necessary given the fast pace of the negotiations thus far.
Mesa Verde set the pace here.
Further, you're overstepping.
Aw, Jimmy actually had a JMM briefcase back in Uno, although he doesn't seem to have it anymore, and Kim's looks nicer anyway.
The target payment.
Kim Wexler here? Come on, guys, meet me halfway here.
Our clients would like to propose changing within the seller's knowledge to the
Slow down.
As he drives from level 6 to 7, this is actually stunt driver Jeremy Fry, who did stunt driving for Baby Driver.
Insincere! Insincere! Jimmy, guarantee I'm not selling cell phones for a fucking year, I'll tell you that.
What did they say?
Don't tell me I can appeal, because once the board hears the word insincere, I'm screwed.
Jimmy.
Oh, you can appeal. Good to know.
One of them out of nowhere comes up with this weird-ass question. What does the law mean to you?
That's a big one.
It's huge! And I nailed it! I was down to earth, and I was humble, and I was sincere. So they turned me down.
Well, there has to be more to it than that.
There's not.
What did they say when you talked about Chuck?
What does Chuck have to do with this? What?
You didn't even...
Why would I?
Okay.
I think it's safe to say that Jimmy's car has moved forward. As is often the case for outdoor scenes, the sky changes a lot during the much longer time to film. Using Jimmy like a sundial, I'd say over 2.5 hours have passed, although this was likely filmed over 2 different days due to the car's movement.
You will appeal.
We'll
appeal this to them, well, we won't let them, and we'll find a way to make you look sincere.
Kim, I was sincere.
I know that.
You don't believe me. You think I'm some kind of lowlife, kind of lawyer guilty people hire, right?
That stuck with him.
You're the kind of lawyer guilty people hire.
You see Slippin' Jimmy.
I never said that.
Yeah, but you thought it.
Bob said that anytime Jimmy believes someone's criticizing him, he sees Chuck's judgmental glance.
You're Slippin' Jimmy.
Ray said Kim's just trying to get information to figure out how to fix it, but realizes he's using her as a punching bag, which leads her to punching back.
You want to know why the committee called you insincere? Because you didn't mention Chuck.
What does that have to even...
They read the transcripts.
It's in the transcript.
They were waiting for you to say something.
How is that sincere? I don't think about Chuck. I don't miss Chuck. Chuck was alive, and now he's dead, and that's that. There it is again. And that's why we don't have an office.
What? I don't want to hear another word about that stupid office.
Stupid office. Okay, here we go.
Jimmy!
Dave Porter had composed music for this part, but they went without it because it ended up making the scene feel too pro-Kim, although it's still hard to not be on Kim's side of this argument.
I have been on your side since the day we met. Who comes running when you call? Who cleans up your messes?
Ever since the first episode.
I drop everything for you. But somehow in your mind, the only measure of my feelings for you is some office?
Good enough to live with, to sleep with, but God forbid you should have an office with me.
What are you I just told you
get a little bored with your life, so you come down and roll around in the dirt. Have some fun with Slippin' Jimmy.
Oh, is it fun? Fun like standing there with a smile plastered on my face while you play infantile mind games on my law partner.
Oh, what a mistake it was to take me up to your office in the sky.
Peter said Jimmy's projecting. He's not mad at Kim, but rather he's mad, and Kim's just the one who's here to take it out on.
You'll never do that again.
Yeah, maybe I won't. And maybe next time you call, I won't come.
I think it's fair to say that even though this is intense, it's healthier than ignoring all their problems like they did for most of this season.
There you go. Kick a man when he's down.
Jimmy, you are always down.
Ouch. They intentionally put this big argument on the same rooftop where Kim decided they should get an office together. There's the wolf and the dove, so score 1 for wolves. Here are some of the books Jimmy owns.
I messed it all up.
You still want to be a lawyer?
Yeah.
Well, we can start with that.
Hey, Mike.
The inside layout of this trailer doesn't match the outside.
Thank you, sir.
We've got a double take of Sam putting down his coffee.
It's pretty quiet.
What's going on with 6? What is that?
Dead pixels. A voltage spike earlier. Camera flared for about 20 seconds, but it came right back.
A voltage spike? Any of the other cameras do that?
What was he doing before the click? Nothing on the screen changed.
Yeah, 10.
Show me the outside cameras. You, let's go.
Get the lights.
Vince just loves teasing us with letters we can't read. In addition to his explanation/apology, it looks like he did leave detailed instructions for Kai.
I could leave detailed instructions.
Up there. Check that out.
What's going on? Mike.
This has burn marks, the kind you'd see from a high-speed cutting tool like a cutoff wheel or a sawzall. A simple hacksaw wouldn't leave that kind of scorched metal unless Werner really is one of those super soldiers that required a commercial-grade treadmill. The device Werner used is made in Germany. Not only that, but it's the same device that the rejected French engineer used.
Scientists love lasers.
Vince said this would work if they were much older cameras and you'd have to be a couple inches away and have the laser perfectly perpendicular to the sensor to damage it. To make this flare that they composited in, Vince really pointed a laser at a camera, but as soon as the laser stopped, the flare went away and the sensor was not damaged. Next time on Better Watch TV.
There are so many stars visible in New Mexico.
It's a moment we've been waiting for 4 seasons.
We need to talk about Winner.
Congratulations and thanks to these very familiar names who are now
2-year members.
Chumbubs, Put It On My Bill, Cartoonizando, Supo MC, Shea Bainco, Lori Holland, and Tony D's Music Channel. And to the new
1-year members.
Boss XO, Mikush, Robobox, Captain Cookie 04, Ruben J, Jito Wu, Glory Chiku, Kara Central, Jambo, Cloudy Mushroom, Saggy the Hedgehedge, Ruben Lawrence, Squat Muffin Cobbla, K2Y, Faxi Thorn, Aaron Gaddy, Jacob Peshka, Panquakes, Ezchucks, Nita 2Nice85, Adam, Doc Sigma, Blundercat, Lucy, Kendorable, Sammy Trinidad, Sebi Was Here, Leap Day Music, Ariana, Ivan the Irate, Rio, Ooks, Edward V, Batuta Cartus, Phoenix, Bezzy Pidal, The Ferret 99, Tasman Whiting, Here for the Chip, Tanoon, Rogash SCP, Van of Jam, Familia Vasquez, All Day Fella, Matthew Acer, Garby, Muffin Hands, Ashton Price, Alper Yashash, Kibby, RefCU, DGA, Cameron Mullins, John Sawad, Jacob Mars, Bunny, Baboon Mama, Beyond Beto, Austin Fields, Whack-A-Mole, Ethan Wallingford, No WLB, Vet Monzer, Mandelbrot, Jaws Poet, Dom Drake, Zoltan T, Base God 621, Family Values, Dexter Dishner, Bruno Berg, and Golden Goose. And there's some chicanery going on with the
6-month members.
Saint Laggy, Ghouls, Leo 456, Antoine Charrier, Isoxy, Smokey Bongwater, Sarah Beth, Aaron PB, Jack Prue, Michael Zamora, Master of Hone, James Russell, Just Jack, Havhen, Adam, Mason Mock, Maxim Gusev, Lucas Linharis, Chaplad, Ryan Hecht, Howard Dawson, Andy Romite, Prince Vegeta 188, R, Claiborne Practice, Alden, Brightspark, Trent, Wexus, Chris Bell, Nathan Charles, Robert Boros, Pantagruel, Rubylicious, Jeff Reichen, Snow the Jam Man, Znep, Logan Oaks, Susan Denny, Bendick Guidechow, John Underwood, Eric, Lost Bear Jr., Mindfor, Frog Goliath, Boba 2814, Andrew Gentry, Young Floormat, Sam Martin, Andrew Mandeville, Sam Smells, Tanner, Unark W, Alex 1212771, Smugtown, Cassio Rat, Rexer, Quinnen, Hale, Jeff Koch, Liam Byrne, Jendup, Andrew Stephenson, Oli Herbs, Hayden Bourgeois, Ivan Cezania, Caffeine Free Coke Enjoyer, Diego Hernandez, Matej Bojnak, Maxine Caulfield, Eric Persiadov, Rock Guy 21, Zyder, Stalking Hobo, Suicide Winkler, Brandon, Redding, TRK, Jackson, Cosmosis, Chicken Permission, MLG Gamer, Scarface, Trax, He Got That Idiot at the Copy Shop to Lie, Cat Ditto, Nick Chambers, Naomi Chungus, Cruz, Jarrell Constantino, Mr. Magic Man, Leon Croy, Nebebel, Certified Certitious Certification, The Giggle Monkey, Trevor Bowman, Pretend to Be Normal, Chicanery, He's Done Worse, That Billboard, R. Turtlemore, Matu Zimmerman, For Him, You Think This Is Something, Maeve Shevchuk, The Void, Chaos, I just couldn't prove it. He covered Nico Kazinkel, Omegon, Isaac Ribeiro, Not Squishy, Assassin Navarra, Ghosty Baka, Demeserate, Jacob Karma, Gusbus Fussrus, Deucevault 98, Nostalapasta, AKS, Quetzalcotta, Honan, Bertrand Giebler, Ryak Zero, Dugerman, Brandon 2166, Manuel Luna, Just Chris Again, Moron, Nabeo, DD Dog GG, Papa Corndog, Faux Paradox, Smartman, Montana, Jackson Cohen, Nicholas Alves, Is Leafon, Poopinator, Ewan Mangan, Chase Tish, Lucas K, Cash Garage, Payne Bell, Pocky Ward, AllPX, Shannon Galloway, Chris, Gwenquin, Madley, Ulrekeltag, Thick Wheezy, Elijah, Alexi22, Eli Bang, Leo V, Peroculus, Glubin, Electromica, Ryan Sam, G Straight Money, Jeff Gobeil, Mild Cartoon Violence, Creatum, Michael Casa, Patar, Roach, Fish, Israel Alderette, JZS Paid, Arrows, Chris Butter XD, Pau Menino, Luno Varia, aka Alfonso Ordaz, Ghost of Moses, he defecated through a sunroof. Lots of B's and an underscore, El Male Emplo, Mama Negan's Hobby Emporium, The Red Meerkat, Augustin Rodriguez de Rossi, Nova Gnosis, QWERTY-UP123, Mikey, Yer Garcia, Dimitri Belli, Alan Perulski, Protolin, Sutkin. Are you telling me a man just happens to become a member? Eros Cicero, Avery Madness, Caden, TSB, The Platypus Extraordinaire, Slippy D540, Vipe, Nolan Grover, Escator, Blarg, Jay, and Matthew Pinkley. Next time, we say goodbye in many ways, including to Season 4.
I thought you were the name of...
Okay.